Hey everyone, it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be sharing all the books that I read in February, as well as my favorite things this past month. I did this little combination video for the first time last month, and I love doing it, honestly, and I'm just really excited to film this video, so I hope that you guys liked it too. It seemed like you guys did, but I feel like it's just kind of fun to not only talk about the books that I read, but also all the things that I've been doing, especially as I have been like working to make my channel a little bit of everything. I feel like it makes sense to share a little bit of everything in this video. So we will be starting off with the books as per usual, but if you would like to see anything else, there are chapters, so you can kind of skip around in the video, and they will also be in the description, so you can just go to whatever you would like. But I read 6 books total this month, which was an improvement on last month where I only read 5. I did kind of have some struggles this past month because of medication things, so I wasn't able to read quite as much as I would have liked, but I definitely have a fire under my butt to get to reading, and it's because I love it. Like, I want to kind of emphasize, I'm not trying to read a ton to impress anyone. I'm competing with myself because I know that there's so many books out there that I really want to read. So obviously I want to try my best to get to as many as I possibly can, and I know that reading and like audiobook time makes me feel really good, so I want to continue to add it into my schedule. It is the night I filmed this and I just imported all the footage and everything, and I realized that for some reason, I've never done this, but my camera was on manual focus. I have no clue how I did it, so I didn't even realize. So I am slightly out of focus this whole video. Like, it's not that bad, but it's annoying. But as much as I am devastated about it, I am just going to soldier on. So please just disregard the fact that I am slightly out of focus. I'm really sorry, but I hope that you can still enjoy the video. You don't need to see me. You've seen me a million times. I promise I look the same, just a teeny tiny bit blurry. Let's get into the books that I read. These are kind of in no particular order. I'm just going to grab them from my little basket here. So first of all, I read Technically Yours by Denise Williams. I don't know if you just saw all the hair that came up, but Archer likes to jump in this basket, so I'm so sorry about that, but it was just like a cloud of hair. Anyways, this was a really cute romance. I definitely wanted to read at least one romance during February because, you know, Valentine's Day fits the vibes and everything. And this was the one that I went with. I read one other one and I liked both of them. This was a solid read. I would say that I would probably give it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars, maybe like a 3.75. I thought it was really good and very enjoyable. It is a romance between 2 characters who are in the tech industry, but the one is like a secretary, but she also is trying to learn more about tech and kind of see what she can do with that. And it's kind of a second chance romance where they almost had the chance before, but then it never quite ended up coming to fruition, and now they have run into each other again and they end up having to work together. So they're trying to obviously navigate how complicated that is. This will be my second Denise Williams book that I have read, and I really enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure that the characters that are on the side are the ones from the previous books, but honestly I can never remember character names, so I don't know for sure, but I do love when romance authors do that. I think it is a lot of fun. But I loved following these 2 characters. I did definitely feel the chemistry between the 2 of them. The tech industry kind of viewpoint was interesting, and it was one of the, like, I feel like I'm not generally a fan of office-based romances, but this one I did actually like. So I had fun with this one. Next is actually a book that I ended up DNFing, very unfortunately, but that is Hello Beautiful by Anne Napolitano. I'd seen this book everywhere. Everyone was raving about it, like talking about how good it was. So I was really excited to pick it up, but I think I got, I don't know, almost halfway through, I think, and I just was like, this isn't for me. I just didn't really care about the characters. I found that they fell very flat for me, and it was definitely a very character-driven story. So the fact that I didn't really care about the characters was definitely a little bit of a problem, but it's supposed to be kind of, I think, like a moody sort of story. I don't really know. I ended up kind of looking up spoilers to see what ended up happening in the end, and yeah, I just don't feel like I missed all that much in it. I don't know, I'm really sad about this one. Actually, I definitely forgot to grab one of the books, and that made me think of it. And my battery's gonna die. 1 second. I did not, in fact, go upstairs to grab that book because that just seemed like a lot of effort, to be entirely honest. But the book that I read immediately after Hello Beautiful was Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. I was kind of nervous going into that one just because I love Kristen Hanna so much. Like, I've been such a fan of her books, but Winter Garden let me down quite a bit. It reminded me of this one, so it was kind of hard for me to like come off of a book that had, it was really that mother-daughter relationship that was kind of similar. And I mean that in the way where like they don't really get along all that well, they don't really communicate, and over the course of the book you're kind of figuring out why in Winter Garden that is the case. But I had a different idea of what this book was going to be, and I think that's why I ended up struggling with it so much. I thought that this book was going to be primarily a historical fiction, but it actually takes quite a while to get to that historical fiction part of things, so that left me feeling really disconnected from it. But it's essentially the story of these two sisters and their Russian mother and how they're trying to reconnect with her. Like, they're kind of learning more about her after their father has passed away. So it is definitely an emotional story, but I just didn't feel that same connection with the characters as I have in her previous books. It just, I don't know, it was kind of a little bit of a miss for me, which was really disappointing. But I did read that book actually in a reading vlog, so I'll link that down below if you wanted to go and watch it. But I also, in that video, started a couple of my current reads, which I brought down to talk about really quickly. So I started Tales from the Cafe by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, which I only got like 20 pages into, so this is definitely one that I'm going to try and read in March. And then I also started The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. I'm not sure how far I am into this one because I've been listening to the audiobook, but I have still been working my way through this one, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet. I think I'm enjoying it. It's definitely like making me think, which I guess is the, you know, purpose of a self-help book. And really quickly, actually, I didn't finish any self-help books this past month. I just kept on starting some and not finishing them. So the ones that I started Deeper Than Money by Chloe Elise, and I definitely need to continue with this one. My thing with self-help books is I always get to a point where like there's exercises and then I'm like, I don't know if I want to do them now, and then I'll reread it and do the exercises, but then I'm gonna have a million to reread. So yeah, I don't know. And then I also started a reread of two books that I already have reread, but that is The Mountain Is You by Brianna Weiss and Atomic Habits by James Clear. So I will be finishing my reread of these this month. Getting back to the fiction books though, next we have The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I had talked about wanting to read this book, and every time I mentioned it, you guys were like, oh, it's so good. So I have been really craving that kind of book. I've been craving a book that makes me go, like, I can't shut up about it, basically, because I always kind of have that book every year and I just haven't really found it. A lot of the books that I've read this past year have just been kind of okay. Like, they've been a little bit forgettable, honestly, which I'm not saying that they're bad. It's just I read so much and there is only so much space in this brain, and it is not a lot, let me tell you. I had to write down everything I do every day in order to remember it, but that's a whole different story. My point is, I don't generally remember books unless they like completely blow me out of the water, and I just haven't really had that experience yet, and I am craving it. I didn't have it with this one, but I did really like this one. I do understand why people are loving it. I would say it's like my favorite book that I read this past month. I gave it, I think, like a 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is solid. But it is a celebrity sort of story, and I guess it's like the Bodyguard movie, which I'm not a big movie person, so I haven't seen it, but it's kind of like the gender roles that you might typically expect are reversed. So she is actually the bodyguard for this kind of, I don't know who's really famous, Ryan Gosling type A-lister celebrity, and there's a romance that ends up blossoming between the two of them. But it was cute. I did really like this one. The ending, I think, kind of, it wasn't that unexpected, but it did take me out of it a tiny little bit. But I feel like there was a good amount of tension in this one, and it was kind of like a will they, won't they, forbidden romance sort of thing is what it seemed like, what it read like, really. And yeah, I liked it. Next, we have The Lonely Hearts Book Club by Lucy Gilmore. I decided to read this as kind of, I don't know, the title made me think of a sort of Valentine's Day-esque sort of thing. And I liked this one quite a bit as well. I think I would give it like a 4 or a 3.75 out of 5 stars, but it's essentially told in almost like vignettes from the perspective of all of the different characters in this, I don't know, book club, I guess, that they end up forming, but like they're slowly added on. And I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting it to jump perspectives, but I thought that was really cool. And obviously it's all kind of like connected by the main character that you start out with. And I thought that was interesting, but I loved that it jumped between these characters. And even one of the characters, like I've read quite a few books where it's with an older person. It kind of made me think of, what's it called, Last Chance Library by Freya Sampson, but in this case you're probably going to be able to hear a garbage truck in a second, so I'm really sorry, but in this case it's like a grumpy old man. It's not like a sweet old man, and that was kind of a nice and welcome change. It was just all of these little like misfit characters, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I don't know, like it was fun, it made me think, it was very different, and I enjoyed that. Archer is very distressed by the garbage truck. It's okay. They're just taking the garbage. Nothing to worry about. Oh, thank you so much. And the final book that I ended up reading this month is actually the final book I'm going to talk about. Did not plan that, but it is The 100 Loves of Juliet by Evelyn Skye. This I just kind of was drawn to. I have no idea why, but I ended up reading it quite quickly. And it is kind of like, I forget what the book is called, but I'll put a picture of it on the cover. It's what I was hoping for from that book, but what I did not get from that book, which was really disappointing because I was excited for that one. So I'm glad that I got this one and it did actually like have that premise, even though it wasn't really what I was expecting. All I knew about this one was Evelyn Skye. This is her first adult book, and I have read books by her before and I have quite enjoyed them. Particularly, I read The Crown's Game and just loved that one. I was very like unexpectedly in love with it. So I was like, oh, something new and something adult. That sounds really cool. But this one is indeed I feel like whenever you see Juliet, you're like, is it Romeo and Juliet? And it is in fact a Romeo and Juliet retelling. So it's very different because it's told like you get both of their perspectives, and essentially what it is that like they actually existed, but they keep on meeting over the course of different lifetimes. Like Romeo doesn't ever die. He has just been the same Romeo and been jumping around all over the place. It definitely requires suspension of disbelief, I will say that. But Juliet is doomed to die. So it's kind of like adding an even more sad element to that element of the not forbidden romance. Well, yes, forbidden romance, but that's not what I wanted to say. The tragic love story. It's really adding an extra tragedy to it. So they keep meeting, no matter what he does, they keep meeting. She's always a different person and they fall in love and she always dies. And like the time between her dying, it varies, but it's never very long. So definitely like really, really sad. I was enjoying this one a lot in the beginning. The second half kind of got quite corny for me and kind of took me out of it. But what made me enjoy it even more was reading the author's note at the end. So the author's note tells you a lot more about the passion behind the story. And it's the fact that Evelyn Skye's husband, he was very ill and was dying, and then he got a lung transplant, and they still are living like in fear, you know, that something might happen. And it's talking about how people will ask like, how do you go on? And it's how you can't like live like that is your truth. You just enjoy the time that you have, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I would encourage you, if you've read this book, to read the author's note. And I feel like you could even read it before you read the book, to be honest. And that might be interesting to give you a little bit of a perspective on, sorry, there's dogs walking by, and if he saw them, he was definitely going to bark, but that might give you a little bit of a perspective prior to reading the story, which would be interesting. So those are all of the books, but I have done a lot this month. I have been loving a lot of things, so I wanted to chat with you guys about them. I have notes here ready to go, but I will say this month didn't entirely go as planned because of the medication stuff, which I will get into. I think that you will see that video after this one, but I filmed a monthly reset going into March, and it ended up being so long that it's 2 videos now. But I guess we could start off with my favorite has still been filming, and I did have a couple of weeks there where I wasn't really filming as much, but my goodness, I have loved filming and like loved vlogging in particular, and loved the videos that I am putting up now. It honestly has gone back to being a hobby for me and a passion project for me, so that is just lovely. YouTube is definitely another favorite. And not even just making YouTube videos, actually, I have also been endlessly watching YouTube videos. So still have been watching Cozy K and really loving her videos. So if you've loved like the kind of direction that my content is going, I highly recommend that you check her out. Her videos are just so feel good and like comforting. I just love it. And I also have still been watching Sims YouTubers. I have been all about that, but I also have been, I feel like I haven't mentioned this channel before, but because I wasn't doing all that great and I was experiencing a lot of insomnia in particular, I was really turning to YouTube and like different sleep meditations to try and help me out. And Great Meditations is a channel that I have loved since I started working on meditating, and I always do them in the morning, but then I started doing it at night as well. But they have something for anything and like literally any time. They post almost every day, which is crazy to me, and they are all just so good. So I highly recommend that you check them out. I am definitely a person who needs to do guided meditations, and I just love theirs. I'm just gonna put the books away because Archer's starting to chew them. I've also been listening to the Sleeptube channel a lot, which has a lot of different, I think they're called binaural beats. I don't really know, and I don't know if they actually work, but whether it's that or it's a placebo effect, I have just been playing that, and then it helps me to sleep because it just has been a major struggle for me this past month, honestly. And other than that, I have really been into having constantly on in the background an Ambience video, which has like, I used to listen to lo-fi quite a bit, but I haven't been gravitating toward lo-fi as much. I've been more so going for jazz ambiance. So my favorite so far has been Cozy Cabin Ambience, I think is what it's called, but I'm still kind of discovering new ones because some of them I really am like drawn to a certain image, but sometimes a lot of them are made from AI, I think, at least. I'm pretty positive that they are, and some of them you can really tell, but I like this one because you can't, I don't know if these are made by AI, I think some of them are, but it doesn't seem as much made by AI. And it's not only jazz music, it also like you can hear the crackling of the fireplace, which I enjoy for winter time. But it just has been really lovely for like setting the vibes and the tone. I have one on the TV right now, actually. It's just muted because I don't really pause it because then my TV turns off. I will just like mute it and then unmute it. So that's been great. And actually a channel that I forgot to mention, I also have really been enjoying Nika. I don't remember what her like full YouTube name is, but I will have all of these channels linked down below for you guys to go and check out. But I love her content because it's very like, her whole thing is self-help or like self-discovery almost, and improvement, but it's in a very actionable way, and I really enjoy that. Like, she always gives journal prompts and steps that you can take, which I think is really cool. So I discovered her videos around New Year's when I was starting to try and think of what do I want to do this next year, how am I going to set my goals now that I'm feeling better, and I found them to be like the most helpful ones that I've watched. Now to talk about just the kind of like digital things, if that makes sense, that I have been loving and using a lot this month. So first of all, of course, Notion is like a perennial favorite for me. I honestly just love it, and I have been diving further into that and really enjoying it. I don't know if I have any pages in particular that are sticking out to me this past month, but all of it has just been so helpful and continues to be something that I love doing and love using. Like, I feel like it's the perfect place because I'll have so many things in my head and then I finally like have them all in one spot. It just is a lifesaver. So definitely am a huge fan of that. I also have talked quite a bit about this, but Skillshare. This video is not sponsored by Skillshare, but I have been in the past, but Truly, it has been like one of my #1 most used apps lately. I have been getting really into different hobbies and different crafts, and it is the perfect place to learn about those things, but really anything. I have like a million courses saved on there. I have a bunch that I have started doing and am just in the process of doing. I have been taking my graphic design course on there. I have been doing like all the craft ones, but then I also have been doing some self-help ones, as well as there's some for like work things and YouTube stuff. So I have just been doing a little bit of everything on there, and I love it. I love the fact that it's like experts in their field that are teaching these things to me in a way that makes sense and is super easy to follow. So I just top notch, and it's been really great. Next is Apple Arcade. So I knew that I had an Apple Arcade subscription through the family thing that we have, but I've, to be honest, never opened it up. I've never used it or anything, but then I started kind of like looking to see what was available on there, and that has been a major game changer, like quite literally. I haven't really played a ton of the games, but I have downloaded a bunch because I realized how many were available. But that brings me on to another favorite of mine, which is Cooking Mama. I love playing games that I don't really need to think about, and it's just like mindless, something that I can do casually. And Cooking Mama is something that I can do casually. What I mean by that is like Sims, I can casually play, but I won't. I get completely sucked and absorbed into it and can't put it down. It is a problem. It's the same when I play Pokemon or Animal Crossing and I get just really into things. So I'm not saying that I don't love those, but I do love them. But Cooking Mom is nice because like when I'm eating, I can just kind of have it up on my iPad and play it. And I used to play it on my DS and loved it. And what I did was I initially got it for Switch, which I started off with playing that and was really enjoying it. That was also this past month, actually. But then I discovered that it was on Apple Arcade because I knew there was an app, but with the app you have to like pay for more things, and with Apple Arcade you don't. And I was like, that is awesome. And it's cool because they have like different ingredients that you can use every day, and it's like a recipe discovery sort of element to it as well, which is a lot of fun. So definitely have been super into Cooking Mama. It's just like the easiest, mindless sort of thing. Big fan. Actually, I did forget that there was one of my favorite pages that I want to talk about on Notion, and that is the memory journal that I have. So like I said, I can't remember shit. Like I cannot remember anything, but I have this little memory journal that I'll fill out every night, and I just basically say what I did that day, and then I'll add some photos that I took that day, like my favorite photos that I took that day. And it's just something so nice to look back on at the end of the month, at the end of the week, and I'm sure like down the road it's also going to be really nice to look back on. So I'm very glad that I implemented that into my routine. It's really nice and wholesome. Now, of course, we need to get into the things that I did this month, hobbies and crafts wise, because holy crap, was there a lot. I'm gonna focus on my kind of favorite things. Like I am still doing my embroidery, but I kind of go through phases where I'll be really focused on that, then I'll move on to something else, then I'll come back to it, then something else. It's just, you know, up and down. I have no attention span. So I wasn't doing a ton of embroidery this month. I really focused more on crochet, and I actually finished my first amigurumi, which is so exciting. I am so proud of myself for it. Honestly, I was taking a course on Skillshare doing that, and I just ended up like getting real sucked into it last Saturday and finished the first one. I was planning on just starting it, but I ended up doing the entire thing, and I am so proud of myself, and I can't wait to do the next one. It is just so cute. I love him. He is a lion named Lionel, and he is just my favorite thing. I can't wait to make more, honestly. The other thing that I have been doing a ton this past month is a lot of like drawing and coloring things. So first of all, I have been doing my paint by numbers. I started that, was it at the end? I think it was at the end of last month I started it, and I'm still not done. I'm like close to done, but I have been loving doing this. It has just been so nice to get back into painting and things, but I also have been loving using my little sketch pad that I have, and I've just been like doodling in there, drawing in there. I have started to learn my watercolors, and I've been loving doing those things that, like, it's really getting back to what I used to love when I was a kid, but I always felt so much pressure to make something perfect, and I've kind of taken that off of myself, so it's become something that I really enjoy again. So I have just been very much enjoying just sitting there doodling and doing different things like that. And like I mentioned, coloring. I have gotten back into coloring because I picked up some coloring books that I really enjoy. It is the Creative Haven coloring books, and I actually have some more that I'm really excited about that I might do a little coloring book haul for you guys soon, but those aren't here yet, but I have a feeling they're probably going to be a favorite for next month. But so far, the Creative Haven ones have been my favorite. I like them a lot because they are always one page, which is really nice. I have a couple other coloring books and I like the Illustrator, but sometimes they have too small of spaces and I just don't like that. And they would be like across 2 pages and then it takes me too long and I will just lose interest. And as it is with these like 1-page things, I don't finish all of them right away. I'll kind of move away and then come back to it and then finally finish something. But these coloring books are honestly so great. Like, they have big spaces, they have the 1-page spread, and the paper isn't too bad. Like, it's not the best paper, but it's not too bad. And I have my little like coloring caddy that I will just take up with the coloring books, and it's just a lot of fun. So my favorites so far have been the birds. I think it's songbirds. I forget what exactly it's called, but I've been loving coloring birds. I don't know why, but whatever. So the songbirds one, and then Home Sweet Home has been a lot of fun. And then the other one that I've started with is the cottagecore one. The cottagecore one is really cute as well. And that kind of brings me to my last favorite thing that I wanted to talk about, which is my craft setup that I have downstairs. I took some time earlier in the month to reset my basement and make it more of a functional space. And part of that was all of my like kind of stuff that was around the house, things that I like to do, those hobby sort of things. I ended up consolidating them so they are all on one of my shelves downstairs. And I did actually film a video about this, but it's going to be a beast to edit, so I am going to get to it. I think I'm hoping to have it up next week, but we'll see. I have started editing it. It's just not done yet, but you will see that soon, and you'll see the process of cleaning everything up, going through things, decluttering, and setting up this really nice little hobby space for me. And what I love about it is that I have like an empty basket at the top, and then I can just grab the basket, put whatever I'm wanting to work on, and bring it upstairs, which is just lovely. So it's cleared off my dining room table, and it's just a really fun thing to do. So I've been loving that, and I'm very glad that I set it up. Why are you crying, Archer? But that is the last favorite that I wanted to talk about this month. So it was, as much as it was a month of struggles, it was also a month of like so many good things. Like, I love doing this video because it makes me realize all the things that brought me joy this past month, and really fulfillment. I've definitely been getting that from adding all of these crafts and different things back into my life. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please let me know what you read this past month, also what your favorite things were, because I would love to know. And I will see you guys in another new video very, very soon. Bye!